welcome to Momentum for Life TV. I'm Gus Ricard.
And I'm Ed.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about the squat today and how to assess someone for the squat. I'm going to take Ed through a squat. When we're looking at squats, we're looking at the squat pattern as a whole, not just an Olympic bar squat, but the squats that we use every day. So most people don't realise that we squat every time we get up and down from a chair or every time we get onto the toilet, and we've evolved doing the squat, and it's a really important part of our functioning on an everyday level. We're the only animal that has part of our digestive system that moves up against gravity, that being our ascending colon, and the only way that actually gets pumped is by the femur pressing against it. So before we had chairs and cars, we were on the ground, and every time we'd talk, or, we'd sit to talk with people, or we'd eat, or when we were going to the toilet, we're in a squat. So it's a really important movement that we do. When we get in and out of our car, for example, we're doing like a single leg squat with a twist. It's a really quite an advanced movement, and most people don't even have the orthopedic profile for a regular squat. So I'm just going to take it back to that regular squat and take Ed through it now, and talk about the details a little bit. So Ed, I'm just going to get you to just put your hands down between your knees. I just want you to stop in the bottom position of a squat, so just with your thighs parallel. Good. So I'm just looking for the relationship between his knee-ankle line, which is from the ankle here to his knee, and looking whether his knee can translate over his toes there. I'm looking at his hip and his lumbar curve, seeing if he's holding extension there or whether he's rounding. Ed's pretty good here. Just looking at the position of his shoulder and where the bar would sit relative to his foot, and the range of motion he's got at his hip. That's going to dictate the position of his lumbar spine there. So just come up again for me, Ed, and I'm just going to demonstrate, because Ed's pretty good, he doesn't have many restrictions. I'm just going to demonstrate what would happen if he was restricted, say, at the ankle or at the talocrural joint. So I'm just going to block your knees a little bit. So just come down to a squat for me, and just keep doing the best you can. You can see he's really having to lean forward there, as he doesn't have the range of motion here at the ankle. So that could be tight calves, or it's more likely to be a restriction in the talocrural joint, which we can mobilise using a harness and really free him up. It doesn't take very long, and then his knees will be able to move forward. A way to kind of test whether it is the talocrural joint, if you just pop up from here and just get on one knee and drive your knee forward. So we're just making sure he doesn't pronate down. Just looking whether the knee. So more like come back up again, let your knees move forward, but think tight at the hips, so you're going to round under. Yeah, so you'd be rounding like that, yeah. So if he doesn't have range of motion at his hip joint, and that could be because of a tight capsule itself, or it could just be restricted through the fascia over his pelvis, through his glutes or his hamstrings, things that come back up. And we can just test to see what it is that's restricting him. So we'll first of all take him into a waiter's bow. So if you just bring your feet together, keep your knees locked, and just hinge forward at the hip, keeping that extension, and just go as far as you can. Okay, good, stop there. So Ed is a little bit restricted there. He wants to have about 90 degrees there. He's probably taking it a little bit short, but it's only really affecting his squat a little bit. So this is a stretch I would give Ed, just to get him deeper into the squat, just get him holding a waiter's bow stretch here for a minute or for 2 minutes or so. Then I'll get you to just come down into a, actually we're going to need to use this, Ed, so come onto the edge here. I'm just going to get you to sit with your feet wide, with your shins vertical. We're just going to test his adductor magnus length with the hip bias stretch here. So we need to keep your knees out. You're just going to pick yourself up and tilt your pelvis forward. And I just want to see the range of motion that you're getting there at your hip in that position. Use the thing to kind of pick the hips up a bit and tilt forward as much as you can. Just shows how much range you have there. Okay. He's got about 90 degrees. He could probably do with a little bit more. So we could use this as a stretch. you know, where I'm just pushing out in his knees, we could P in effort where you're just squeezing against him for 5 seconds as you inhale. As you exhale, just relax. I'm just going to push out gently just to stretch the adductor magnus there a little bit. And you know, if those tests both come back positive, we can also mobilise the hip capsule itself using the harness to get a little bit more range of motion there. The other thing that can restrict people is just range of motion at the spine. So we can do thoracic arm raise test. If you just want to stand up, we want to see a reversal of their thoracic curve there. If you just bring your arms straight up, out in front and overhead slowly, we're just seeing Ed does have a nice range of motion there. You often see people get to, you want to come back down again, and just depress your first rib there. So if someone's quite locked through their thoracic, and you get them to bring their arms overhead, you see he doesn't have the range of motion there now to get that all the way back to the midline. So Ed, in that position, wouldn't be a candidate for any overhead lifting. We'd have to mobilise his thoracic spine, and that would really restrict him in his squats as well. So if you do a squat again and just keep your first rib depressed there, yeah, see if you can do that the whole way down. Keep it. Yeah, so he can't even do it if he wants to, but that's more your hip. That's better. See if you can depress that there. Yeah, it's a hard position to have. You'd probably just fall over, you know, forwards or backwards or something. So Ed's pretty good. I've just cleared him for a squat, and he's got the right orthopedic profile. He's got the range of motion at the ankle, the hip, and the spine that he needs. So we could then get him under the bar and start doing some lifting. So if you want to get under, we'll start with a back squat. So just remember to set your scaps, brace your abs, and kind of sink down into it. Maybe go side on to the mirror, just so, or side on to the lever. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. So sink down to the squat there, and we just want to see that the bar is moving straight down over his feet, just staying within the line that his foot takes up nicely. And I'm just looking now, I can just kind of see whether he's really using his abs. And could usually, if you have someone that's not experienced with lifting, you can test them in the bottom position. Just hold it there. Before they get the bar, you can test to see if they've got the stability they need there, just before you do actually put a bar on their back, because for a lot of people 20 kilos is pretty heavy, and it is enough to throw them off. That's good. Thanks, Ed. Nice one. So from there you can kind of progress to all the different squats, but you need to really have that correct profile before you do try. So yeah, thanks very much. Thanks, Ed. Thanks for your help.